female screw. There should also be a washer. This washer here. Then we can turn it around and remove the second screw. I think you need to cock the gun. Yeah, yes, now it comes out. You need to cock the gun first. Now you can remove the breech from the seal cylinder, and the cocking lever also comes right off the cocking shoe inside the piston. And we have again two washers. The breech barrel and the cocking lever. Now we can remove this cocking shoe here, which grips into the piston to cock it. We need to get this one into this notch here. Come out. It's out. Then we can remove the piston. And the piston is also out. Oh, factory spring, factory grease all over the piston seal. And then we have this rifle is now fully disassembled to the point where we can grease all the internal parts. I will now remove the grease on some of the parts, not all. For example, on the piston and the piston seal, some of the grease inside the steel cylinder, and a bit on the spring, but there isn't really much on the spring. You can leave there's some sticky stuff inside the trigger unit, and in my opinion this one you can leave inside there. This is nothing dramatic, but you can spray a bit of gun oil inside this thing here. This will prevent rust. And also on the trigger block you can leave most of the stuff there. To remove the grease, or some of the grease inside the cylinder, you can just rub some kitchen paper around rod and stick it inside the cylinder and twist it, and then this way you can remove some of the factory grease. but really there isn't much inside there. Then you can remove the grease on the seal, especially on the front. You don't want any grease there. I think it's good enough. And on the spring, and that's it, I think. That was the degreasing part, and now I will grease all the internal parts with my Moly MOS2 grease. This is a grease I will use for most of the internal parts. It's very good grease for air rifles. It's MOS2 grease, and they promise that it can be used for sleeve and anti-friction bearings, reduces friction, emergency lubrication, extreme pressure, and heat resisting to 130 to 150 degrees Celsius. So this is pretty good stuff. And this grease I use on the spring, on the guide rod here, on the piston, and inside the steel cylinder. I have, in my cleaning video, I forgot something. I bought airgun specific grease some time ago. This is specially formulated for use on piston and pre-charged airguns. It's Napier Power Airgun Grease, contains VP90 and other stuff. Bought it from England for £6.99. This is pretty good stuff, and this is good for the piston seal, because this is a little bit more slick than the MOS2 grease. To grease the inside of the cylinder, you can again use the rod with the kitchen paper, and then you can take a brush with a bit MOS2 grease and put it on the kitchen paper. I think this should be enough already. Only a little bit more. When it comes to greasing air rifles, it's better to use less than too much. So less is more. This should be enough. You can take the cylinder and stick the rod inside there and twist it so that you get a nice and even layer of this MOS2 grease inside there. can see this, but there's a nice layer already, thin and well distributed all over the inside. Maybe I can show you with the light. It's not very much, only a thin layer, and that is really, this is good enough for the steel cylinder. Yep, okay, this is done. Then you can take the brush and paint the piston with the grease. The complete outside also again with a thin layer, not too much. Okay, the outside part is finished. Then I will put a little bit on this here, on the hook, also on this rod here. Then you can take the Napier gun grease, put a bit of this one on the what is that? You shake it a little bit. Okay. Take a little bit of this oil, grease. And grease the piston seal. Don't put any oil in the front of the piston seal. This way you prevent the diesel effect. And this should be enough, good enough for the piston and the sealant. Now I will cover the whole spring with the MOS2 grease.